It was supposed to be a cheap substitute for a real car during a brutal fuel shortage. Instead, it became a motorsport icon, a movie star darling. And the ultimate proof that size is definitely not everything. Today, the round headlights of a Mini hide a premium brand. But in the 1950s, completely different story. Behind that cute, toy-like design hid engineering genius, a catastrophic financial miscalculation, and a lot more technical duct tape than people realize. Stick around. Today, we're taking off the rose-colored glasses to look at the true story of the classic Mini. Hit that like button, and let's go. Britain, 1956. The Suez Crisis leaves Europe starving for oil. Gas is strictly rationed. Prices are skyrocketing. The British, who usually loved big, comfortable cars, are panicking. They're jumping into bubble cars, tiny European microcars with two-stroke motorcycle engines that looked more like covered shopping carts than actual vehicles. Leonard Lord, the boss of the British Motor Corporation, absolutely hated these things. He promised to build a proper four-seat car, but with the fuel appetite of a moped. The rules were brutal. Maximum length, 3 meters. Height and width, 1.3 meters. And somehow, 80% of that space had to be for passengers and luggage. This engineering nightmare was handed to Alec Issigonis, and what he sketched on a dining napkin changed the world. Issigonis went radical. He turned the engine sideways, which was incredibly rare back then. He used front-wheel drive to throw the drive shaft in the trash, and he shoved the gearbox straight into the engine's oil pan. The car was dropped onto tiny 10-inch wheels, pushed to the absolute extreme corners of the body. But there was a slight problem. Car tires of that size simply didn't exist. Issigonis had to personally beg the Dunlop company to invent a completely new tire format just for this little guy. Dunlop thought he was crazy, but they agreed, and they definitely hit the jackpot. That's how the classic Mini was born. But let's take a cold shower of reality here. This brilliant packaging, it came with a heavy price. First, the suspension. To save space, they threw out standard springs and used rubber cones instead. Sure, they were compact, but they made the Mini ride like a wooden stool. It shook your soul out on every single pothole. Second, the radiator. To squeeze the engine in, the radiator was mounted on the side right in the wheel arch. The fan sucked in outside air, along with rain, mud, and dirt, completely flooding the distributor. In typical British drizzle, the Mini just died. Third, the shared oil pan. The engine and gearbox swam in the exact same oil. Metal shavings from worn-out gearbox teeth traveled straight into the heart of the engine, destroying it from the inside out. And to squeeze out maximum cabin space, Issigonis pulled off another hilarious engineering trick. He refused to use standard roll-down windows. Instead, they just slid to the side. This made the doors hollow inside, allowing for massive door pockets. Why so big? Issigonis, who enjoyed a good drink, measured them to perfectly fit a bottle of his favorite Gordon's gin. Now that is British ergonomics. The bizarre Spartan cabin didn't stop there. To make the doors thinner and cheaper, he didn't even put inside door handles. You literally had to pull a piece of wire to get out. Oh, and the original Mini? No radio. Issigonis hated listening to music while driving, claiming it was just a distraction. And what about safety? When journalists asked Issigonis why the car lacked basic safety features, not even having seatbelts, he dropped this legendary excuse: "I don't design cars that crash well. I design cars that handle and brake so beautifully that you simply won't get into a crash in the first place." Peak British arrogance. Despite all this, on August 26, 1959, the car went into production. The British went absolutely wild. For just 500 pounds, they were getting a real car. Factories were pumping out 250,000 units a year. But here's BMC's darkest secret. It was economic suicide disguised as a massive success. Engineers at Ford couldn't understand how the British made such a cheap car. So, They bought a Mini. They took it apart down to the last screw, calculated the cost, and were shocked. BMC was losing about 30 pounds on every single base model Mini they sold. They were selling cars at a loss just to destroy the competition. The company only made money on the premium trims. And this is where John Cooper enters the chat. The Formula One race car designer looked at the stiff, front-wheel drive box and saw a purebred sports car. He increased the engine size, slapped on twin carburetors, added disc brakes, and created the Mini Cooper. What happened next is history. From 1964 to 1967, the tiny Mini Cooper S absolutely destroyed the prestigious Monte Carlo Rally. It humiliated massive, expensive machines from Porsche, Mercedes, and Ford. Its short wheelbase and corner-pushed wheels made it handle like a go-kart on steroids. But you know what makes this racing history even better? An international scandal. In 1966, the French rally organizers were so furious that British boxes took the entire podium again that they disqualified them. The reason? Supposedly illegal halogen headlight bulbs. They forced the victory onto the French Citroën. But this shameful move only made the Mini a bigger legend. The whole world knew who the real champion was. The Mini became a cult icon. It was everywhere. In the garages of factory workers, driven by Prince Charles, owned by the Beatles, and Enzo Ferrari. Wait, Enzo Ferrari? Yes. The creator of the world's most desirable supercars loved the Mini's go-kart handling so much, he kept several of them in his garage. The company started pumping out crazy variants, wagons with wooden frames, pickup trucks, even a doorless beach buggy called the Mini Moke. Speaking of the beach buggy, did you know the Mini Moke was originally designed for the military? The idea was to drop it from airplanes with a parachute. But during the first tests, its terrible ground clearance meant it got stuck in the very first puddle. The military immediately rejected it. But suddenly, the car became a massive hit on the sunny beaches of California and Saint-Tropez. Its influence even went beyond cars. Iconic British fashion designer Mary Quant was so inspired by the car that she created a revolutionary piece of women's clothing and named it after her favorite ride. Yes, the famous miniskirt got its name directly from the Mini. Incident that it became a full-blown actor. Who can forget the legendary chase in the original 1969 Italian Job? Or Mr. Bean's iconic lime green Mini, locked with a literal shed padlock? The comical contrast of the tall Rowan Atkinson and the tiny car became an absolute classic. But time moved on. In the 70s and 80s, the British auto industry drowned in strikes and economic collapse. The Mini's design was rapidly aging. Cheap, reliable, and comfortable Japanese compacts flooded the market. Building the Mini was pure loss, and the brand bounced from owner to owner until 1994, when the Germans at BMW bought the remains of the Rover Group. BMW sold off almost everything, but kept the Mini brand. In the year 2000, after more than 5.3 million cars, the classic Mini finally retired. And in 2001, BMW rebooted the brand on a modern platform. The new Mini kept the retro design but got much bigger, way more comfortable, and heavily premium. Today, the lineup includes 5-door hatchbacks, Countryman crossovers, and fully electric versions. Sure, the modern Mini has almost nothing in common with Issigonis' Spartan little box, but you cannot overstate the importance of that first car. It's a story of how massive restrictions breed absolute genius, because Issigonis basically created the blueprint for 90% of modern cars. The Volkswagen Golf, Honda Civic, Ford Focus. They are all direct descendants of that transverse engine front-wheel drive layout, sketched on an Oxford restaurant napkin. What do you think about this modern trend? Taking cheap, legendary people's cars and turning them into expensive premium toys? Would you want a massive automaker to revive a classic car from your childhood in the same way? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, and see you next time.